Are you all ready? Ready? All right. Good afternoon. Our city has been struck by yet another gun violence tragedy. A second victim in last night's shooting died earlier today at the hospital. 4 other shooting victims are recovering right now. Our thoughts are with these victims and their families. Our emergency response was swift. Police and fire were on the scene within minutes of being called. Thank you so much to our first responders who arrived quickly and helped the victims, most likely saving even more lives from the shooting that happened early this morning, just after 3 a.m. I'm going to now turn it over to Deputy Chief Steve Healy and Assistant Chief Ryan Bates, who will speak more about the investigation and the incident.
Thank you, Mayor. Good afternoon. Thank you all for coming to help us get the information out to the public regarding the senseless shooting and loss of life. LMPD remains dedicated to the goal of keeping our residents safe and businesses as safe as possible here in our city. First, I'm going to walk you through the events of what occurred during the overnight hours in the area of the Southern Restaurant and Lounge. Then I'll get into some of the history of that location and efforts LMPD has made along with other agencies to help mitigate the issues there. At around 3 o'clock this morning, LMPD 1st Division officers responded to a call of a shooting in the 300 block of Market Street. When officers arrived, they found an adult male who was shot and was pronounced dead on the scene. 5 other victims were taken to University Hospital. As the mayor indicated, one additional adult male has died from his injuries. The other victims, 3 adult females and 1 adult male, appear to have non-life-threatening injuries. There was a 6th victim located at Jewish Hospital, which makes a total of 7 victims in all. That victim's condition is unknown at this time. At this time, we do not have any suspect information. But let me be clear. At the time this incident occurred, there were approximately 200 to 300 people that were in the area when the shooting happened. We are urging people who know what happened to speak up. Let me reiterate that. There were 200 to 300 people at that location when this shooting occurred. This is our community. We cannot do this alone. We need the public's assistance when they see something to say something. We, LMPD, our other elected officials and other agencies here are dedicating as much resources as we can to investigating this crime and bringing closure to the victims of these families. Anyone with information regarding this case, please call our anonymous tip line at 574-LMPD. You may also call Crime Stoppers at 582-CLUE. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to Lieutenant Colonel Ryan Bates, who is our Patrol Bureau Commander, on the issues and the things we've done to address this location.
Thank you. Just to give you some background on what measures we've taken to help with some of the issues that have occurred. On July 9th, there was a non-fatal shooting on 3rd Street involving business patrons, and we put together, in partnership with the Alcohol Beverage Control, as a response. Deputy Mayor David James will go more into that here in a few minutes. LMPD mobilized resources, including the Downtown Area Patrol, tow trucks, the SWAT team, our traffic units, and rapid response team cars from every division in our patrol bureau. Pulling together those resources created a significant presence of approximately 20 police cars with emergency equipment activated. We also started the nuisance abatement process. The fire marshal did an assessment of the restaurant's capacity, limiting it to 105 patrons. Earlier this month, August 4th, there was a detail conducted, but the Southern Restaurant and Lounge did not open. We were told the business was sold effective September 1st and would not reopen. Obviously, last night they opened. To give you an idea of some of the challenges last night that we were dealing with, the crowd of people, additionally, our rapid response team had to be redirected from the bar's location due to someone shooting at some of our officers last night working in the Park Hill area. Also, we continue to have people coming in from out of town, creating dangerous situations with street racing yesterday that further challenged our manpower. Again, we are urging anyone with information to call our anonymous tip line at 574-LMPD or Crime Stoppers at 582-CLUE to help us bring to justice the victims of this senseless shooting and unnecessary violence to try to bring peace to their families. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'd next like to introduce Deputy Mayor of Emergency Services, David James.
Hello. On July the 10th is when we first received our first complaint about activity at this particular location. Once receiving the complaint, we started working with ABC, Louisville Metro Police Department, our Public Health Department, and the Fire Department to try and find out everything that we can do to try and deal with this situation. We also worked with the state ABC. On July the 22nd, 20th, and August 5th and 12th, we also had details on that particular location, as Colonel Bates was speaking about, in which ABC and Louisville Metro created a presence there to try and make sure that everything was safe for everybody in the area. In doing so, it helped quite a bit. And so I would also like to say that something that Major Bates, or Colonel Bates, said was that this particular location received the full attention of Louisville Metro in all ways. One of those was that a citation was issued to the Public Health Department to this location for lack of refrigeration. The conversation you've heard it said that this was a restaurant. Part of the conversation is it really a restaurant or is it a bar? And so I would say that it's a restaurant, but it's really a bar. They would say that they're a restaurant. Thank you.
Thanks, Deputy Mayor James. Again, thank you so much to our first responders, the doctors and nurses at U of L Hospital who provided critical care to the shooting victims. We want everyone in Louisville, in every neighborhood, to be a place for people to gather, to celebrate, to enjoy events, and we must provide a safe atmosphere for everyone. Louisville is known around the country for its restaurants and nightlife, and most people who own and operate bars and clubs here are very responsible citizens. They follow the rules. They care about being a good neighbor. They provide safe entertainment for residents and visitors alike. But after several incidents like this shooting that happened early this morning, it has become clear that there are several bar and club operators who are not focused on a safe environment for residents and visitors. There are some bar owners and operators who are knowingly and repetitively flaunting our laws. This is not acceptable. It's not acceptable to our administration. It's not acceptable to our city. That's why, as you've just heard from Deputy Mayor James and LMPD, We have stepped up enforcement under our administration when we are notified of breaches of our laws and ordinances, and we will continue to. We will continue to ensure that bars and restaurants operate within their capacity, within acceptable noise levels, that they have the correct license they are licensed to operate under. We will enforce our laws and ordinances. Earlier today, I asked lawyers in our administration to determine whether there's even more that we can do, civilly or criminally, against these few bad actors. Additionally, we have to look at the ordinances that are on our books right now, because there are too many of these incidents happening in the middle of the night when bars and clubs are the only businesses that are still open. So today, I'm calling on my colleagues at Metro Council to begin conversations with our administration and the community to determine whether bars in our city should stay open till 4 a.m. or, like many other cities in America, 2 a.m. is late enough. Let's have those conversations. Let's talk about it seriously and determine how we move forward. Because we must do more to address our gun violence epidemic. And every step helps. You've heard about the enforcement our administration's doing. You've heard about what we're asking Metro Council to talk with our community and administration about. And as you all know, we're calling on our state General Assembly to do more as well. Asking our legislature to give us in Louisville more autonomy to crack down on illegal gun use and limit the number of guns that are in the wrong hands. We're asking our state assembly to give us the authority to go to court for a state wiretap law so that we can better and more quickly solve these violent crimes and bring the perpetrators to justice. We're asking for more funding to retain and recruit officers so we can address the unique issues of urban gun violence that we are seeing here in Louisville. We must do more. We can't keep doing the things the same way as they are and expect that gun violence in our city will go away. Our administration is not doing things the same way, and we call on others to join us. Too many families are having to bury their loved ones. Too many children are being left without mothers and fathers, lost to senseless gun violence. As we talked about yesterday with the ACE Project and the Mothers of Murdered Sons and Daughters organization that had their annual gathering yesterday, we all agree, enough is enough. We can and we must do more. Thank you, and we're happy to take a few questions.
Have you had any witnesses come forward at all so far?
Any witnesses currently?
The homicide investigation is still ongoing. We cannot provide any details on that right now.
But again, we do want to reiterate Deputy Chief Healy's call. There were over 200 people, we believe, there last night. There are people in our city today who have information that they can be helpful. Please call 574 LMPD or call Crime Stoppers if you don't want to call the anonymous tip line at LMPD. Your information is critical and will save more lives.
Can you talk any more about some complaints you received that called for police presence there at the location before?
Are you talking about a total number of complaints?
If you have that, what kind of complaints?
You would have complaints of noise, of individuals that were blocking the sidewalks, parking on the sidewalks, totally blocking traffic, using the surface roadways as a parking lot, things of that nature.
We were first notified, as Deputy Chief Healy said, we were first notified on July 10th. And then as Deputy James talked about we immediately went into action beginning on that day. And we began to tow cars, LMPD, ABC, the fire marshal, the health department, all paid visits to this location to continue to deter it. We were making progress. Unfortunately, last night occurred. I would like to thank the landlord, the owner of this property, who has been tremendously helpful and has worked with us to terminate the lease for this operator. The lease is terminating as of August 31st. That had been in place. So we thought, based on all of the activities that you've heard about from LMPD and Deputy Mayor James, that we had been making progress to shut down this bad operator. Unfortunately, last night occurred.
Colonel Bates, I think, said that there was supposed to be 105 people inside that restaurant or bar. How many were there last night? We had heard some people maybe got trampled when it happened. Do you know how many people were in there last night when it happened? Or estimate?
We don't have that. We're still reviewing camera footage and hopefully interviewing witnesses to get an accurate count on that. I know when this first occurred, we did contact the fire marshal, and they did establish that the capacity at that location was 105.
Can we confirm if the shooting did happen inside or outside the restaurant?
What we have right now is the shooting actually occurred outside. However, we do not have these crowds show up at this location unless this location is operating during their posted business hours.
Do you know if this was targeted or random at all at this point?
We're still looking at every avenue for that. We don't believe this was just an individual, an active shooter that was just going around randomly shooting people. We do not believe that.
Do you know how?
Last question.
Do you know how long it's supposed to operate? Moving forward as the investigation continues? Is it closed? Limited hours?
This location, the lease has been terminated. They will no longer be at that location.
And also, And also, the director of ABC, who's with us today, Brad Silveria, he has reached out to the state to terminate their license effective immediately, which, is that the right way to say it? Yeah. Okay, here.
This morning, I applied to the state alcoholic beverage control. My name is Brad Silveria. It's Silveria. I'm the ABC administrator for Jefferson County. I emailed the state officials and applied for, it's called an emergency suspension order based on the violence that has taken place. And that process takes a little bit of time, but LMPD is going to send the reports over to the state officials, which will start the clock. And that would result in an immediate revocation of that license. And the licenses could not go, they couldn't apply and get them again, the same operators.
Okay, and their lease does expire on August 31st. Looking to our last question.
Real quick, last question. Does LMPD or the city have any mechanism in place for scanning Facebook Lives that may have been shot inside or even outside as this was occurring?
Yeah.
As I said earlier, we're going to review every possible lead we can and hopefully bring closure in this shooting.
Thank you all very much.